big and have that confidence. I think their factory bikes have a little something to do with that.
McGrath with a terrific lap time here for this track. About 55.1, David.
Right, that's pretty fast. You know what's amazing is that all these tracks range from about 55 to 58, 59 seconds. It's amazing. The track designs are totally different, but the times always end up about the same.
McGrath and his mechanic Skip Norfolk turning the 1995 Supercross season into a battle for second place. And that's just what we see right here with Mike LaRocco and Larry Ward. Ward, little stumble there. LaRocco right on his rear tire.
You know, LaRocco's definitely putting pressure on Larry Ward. And I think this is really critical for Larry Ward right now. He's got second place in the points, and I think it would be a big blow to LaRocco if Larry Ward can hold him off right here. And Larry could prove to himself, hey, I'm a player. I can win these things, and I can beat you, and I belong in second place in the series.
I think Larry's always thought he was the third fastest rider out there.
Right, and you know, when you think that way, those guys just kind of ride right by you, and then you feel like, well, here I am where I belong.
But if he can hold LaRocco off, what a boost of confidence right now for Larry Ward in a battle with Mike LaRocco, bar to bar. LaRocco catching up with Ward and passing him with 11 laps to go in the race. Let's go to Jan.
We just got to see your son move up into second place. You think he has the kind of speed to close down that gap on Jeremy? I think he does. We'll see. He's 9 seconds back. It's hard to make up, but he's a tough fighter, so I think he'll get it. What section of the track does it look like he's making up on the other riders?
Right over here in the whoop.
Okay, he's a whoop man, huh? Thanks.
A whoop man. I don't know, Art. That's a new one. I'll tell you what, you know, I think he is a whoop man because he's stronger. He doesn't really rely on timing in those whoops. He just got to muscle it through there, and that's where he's making up his time.
Swink and Lamson. Lamson going down. Swink gives him a little shove in the corner there. He goes down where Ezra Lusk also fell earlier in the race. Steve Lamson's a tough break for him. He was trying to come back after the injury.
Right, there's only room for one bike in that ride. Swink's pretty aggressive. You don't want to mess with him. He had the inside, just pushed him out there. He's riding pretty good tonight.
Besides Jeremy McGrath's brilliance this year, Larry Ward's been the most interesting success story. Last year's top points leader as far as non-factory riders are concerned. He's taken this year's ride, I think, to a higher level as we look back in the pack. Kudrowski now making a move on Henry. Kudrowski looking to move into 4th place.
Look at this. He jumps this double into the corner, almost hits that lap rider. You know, Kudrowski, he's got to get back up in there. He started off the season quite a bit better than he did last year, but he had a horrible race at Anaheim, and right here is his chance to put some confidence back in there before it starts to fade.
MK won this race last year. Cuts to the inside and gets by Henry for 4th. He's come all the way back from 11th place. Mike Kudrowski in 4th. We'll be back with more 250 action in a moment. Seattle for the 250 main. Brian Swink, number 10, one of his best races of the year, coming all the way back from 15. Jan Beekes is with his mechanic down in the pit area now.
Marshall, Brian is moving through the field at incredible speed. He didn't get a good start, but man, he's on the gas now.
Yeah, he got a bad start, but he's working his way up. Hopefully we can get into 4th by the finish, maybe 3rd.
You think it's high? You think you get to the podium even with that bad of a start? He's that quick, huh?
We might be able to get up there. We still got 5 or 6 laps left, so we'll have to wait and see.
Well, that's great to watch.
Okay, thanks.
Brian Swink currently in 6th spot as we go to the leader, Jeremy McGrath, and take a look at the Suzuki stopwatch to check the intervals now, as a lot of lappers have come between 1st and 2nd place. Flats to contenders last year had the teams concerned about the rocky conditions, and Jan inspected the bikes earlier in the day.
With the rocky soil here in Seattle, these mechanics have their work cut out for them protecting these machines. One of the areas where they concentrate is below the fuel tank. You can see the fuel line is covered with a plastic piece to protect it from flying rocks. Another place would be the brake levers. You can see there's actually a piece of foam inserted between the brake lever and the case to make sure a rock doesn't jam up those rear brakes. Tires are also where mechanics spend a lot of time and attention. They're choosing for here larger knobs closer together. It leaves less of a carcass exposed. Some mechanics are using 2 tubes, but there's also a development tube that Dunlop has come up with that is a foam-covered inner tube. It gives you the advantage of foam, but yet it still has air in the inner tube to allow for different settings and different pressures. Right now, because Jeremy
Thanks, Jan. As we look at number 7, Mike Kudrowski, he's currently in 4th. He's come a long way, though. He started after the first lap in 11th position and has worked his way up through the field.
Well, he's definitely riding good to work his way all the way up through there, but it's the same old story for both the Kawasaki guys. They've got the speed, but they're always coming from behind, and that speed doesn't come until it's too late.
Mike Kudrowski hoping his new mechanic, Brian Lennis, with different training regiments, would improve that quickness for the Supercross season, but you see Henry right behind Mike Kudrowski. Now, Henry in 5th spot. Henry might have been in line for a podium performance had he not gone down on lap 8. But right now, trying to give some pressure to Mike Kudrowski.
Well, Kudrowski had a horrible race, as we mentioned earlier, in Anaheim. And I'm glad to see him back up front. You know, he did start out the season much better than last year. But right now, Henry is regrouped, and he's on the charge.
Let's go to the Honda pits, and Jan Beekes.
He's not got a horrible start, but he's really working his way through. It looks like he may want to be one of the quickest bikes on the track.
Yeah, he's riding very well tonight, and he had some problems in the heat race, but you know, that's one of the problems Doug's working on at starts. And the guys in front of him, he's going to have a hard time catching, but he just has to ride consistent.
Doug Henry on the move. Thanks.
Henry got off to a good start in the opener with a 5th place finish, but on Minnesota, he cracked the handlebars jumping off the track and really put him out of the points race. Here he is, number 1, Jeremy McGrath. He just cruising right now, way out in front, looking forward to his 4th consecutive victory to start the season. There's his dad, Skip Norfolk, the mechanic on the left. They look relieved. McGrath way out in front, looking for his 23rd win. Rick Johnson heads the list. Bob Hanna with a great 27-win performance. But look out for McGrath. Here's the Rocket. And as we take a look at the Suzuki stopwatch to check the interval between Jeremy McGrath and the number 2 position, Mike LaRocco. Looks like a 6.6, which, well, you've said it before.
It's a week.
That's weeks for Jeremy McGrath.
That's a long time, especially with only the few laps that are remaining. And you can see he's lapping Michael Bichon. Bichon is very fast, and I can tell you, he's not having problems. They're just lapping way up through the field now.
LaRocco was able to pick up a second a lap for several laps, but as you see there, the little bobbles riding on the edge as we take another look.
Okay, he comes in here. Front end just gets away. Watch it. Gets into that slick stuff. He does a nice job to save it. Sometimes you put your foot down like that. I've done it before. I've broken my foot that way. Boy, those kind of mistakes can cost you. You just lose more time on the leader. This guy, McGrath.
Jeremy McGrath with a nice, easy pace. One thing for sure is he is acknowledging the fans. He knows exactly where his competition is, David.
He sure does. He knows there's only a few laps to go, and he can go out there. Even when he's riding an easy pace, he's still going faster than most everyone out there.
He is only seconds away from his 4th consecutive win this year. We'll be back.
Jumpin', jammin', smashin', crashin', floorin', soarin'. Experience the high-flying world of Supercross like never before. Call now to order Supercross Thrills and Spills, the video that captures the highs and the lows of the world's top riders. And Losando's roughest rivalries, biggest bloopers, and fantastic finishes. Can't miss action for the can't miss price of $19.95 plus shipping and handling.
Wheels on ESPN2 has been brought to you by
Honda, defending champions and holders of the past 7 consecutive Supercross titles. Honda, come ride with us. And by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. We are in the last lap from the Kingdome in Seattle, and what a monster effort by this young man, Jeremy McGrath, as he does the knack-knack off the triple, entertaining the fans, knowing he's got this all but wrapped up.
As I watch him go through this last lap, I said it in Minneapolis, the guy is riding flawless. He's just kind of goofing off out there. It's amazing how relaxed he can ride.
The final turn, the finish line jump, the checkers for Jeremy McGrath. His 4th consecutive victory to start the season, only one shy of Rick Johnson's great record of 5 straight.
Well, there's Jeremy's dad and his mechanic, Skip Norfolk. They're happy about things. You know, Jeremy came into this thing sick. This is also Larry Ward's hometown. He's been building up a little speed. There you see him coming closer to the finish line for this race in Seattle, and he's probably going to be a little disappointed having dropped back to 3rd. I think he would have liked to have held off LaRocco.
It's his third of the season to go along with a 2nd place, entrenching this non-factory rider in 2nd place in the points standings. 4 podiums in 4 races for both Larry Ward and this young man, Jeremy McGrath, who has swept them all. McGrath, number 1. LaRocco, Ward, Kedrowski, and Henry are top 5 here in Seattle. Swink, an admirable ride from where he came from. Emig holding on to 7th. Let's go to Jan Pekus.
Mike, I know you're never happy with second, but you got to be happy that after a not such a great start, you really worked through it. It looked like you were one of the fastest bikes on the track.
Yeah, I mean, I felt kind of like myself. You know, I rode a pace that I made up some time on Jeremy, but, you know, he does what he does. He gets out front and gets the lead he needs and makes it tough for everybody else.
Now, did you have the speed tonight? If you could have had the whole shot, do you think you can outpace him if you can get out in front and a good start?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was kind of it was a good track, and it was a little difficult. And, you know, it was a track where you can make up time on. And I felt that I had it in me. I just, you know, I didn't use it. I was too far back.
Well, it sure looked like the crowd was pulling for you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
The points list starting to reflect the dominance. Jeremy by 18 points. Ward continues to show up the other factory riders in second. And Jan is with Larry right now.
Larry, you got a good start. The crowd was behind you, but then what happened? Did the rhythm go away a little bit?
A little bit. You know, Jeremy and Mike LaRocco are really fast. That's why they have number 1 and number 2 on the bikes. I rode that consistent. You know, I knew I had third. Lap riders goofed me up a little bit. You know, they weren't getting out of the way out there, but that's part of racing. And I just hung on and got my 4th straight podium finish, so I'm happy with that.
Now, what can you do to get to the next level? Obviously, for a privateer, you're absolutely eclipsing everybody, almost like Jeremy's doing with the factory machines. What can you do to get just into that next league?
Well, you know, hopefully next year I'll be riding the factory bike, so I have the same equipment. You know, I'm only human. I can only do so much. I got to rely on that motorcycle a little bit, and it's good. But you know, Jeremy's got the best bike out there, so I'll just train a little harder, and hopefully one of these times he's going to have a problem, and maybe he'll get a bad start, and hopefully I can win.
Well, you put a great show on for the fans. Thanks.
But the star of the show was number 1, Jeremy McGrath. He is now 4 for 4, 1 win away from the 1988 Rick Johnson record.
Jeremy, one of the toughest jobs as an announcer is knowing what to ask Jeremy McGrath. You're making this, we're seeing you every single race. One thing is, though, you broke a record. You had 4 races you won in a streak before. If you count Las Vegas from last year, that makes 5. So already you're at a personal best.
Well, 5 in a row is great for me. I mean, you know, being sick this week and having a victory this week makes it all that much more better. I mean, you know, I was a little bit worried about my fitness this week because I had a cold and didn't train that much this week, but next week I'll be back on it and as ready as ever.
Now, were you holding back a little bit in the beginning? It didn't seem like you streaked away like we've seen you in the past, and then about mid-race it seemed like you really cranked it on.
Well, I started getting away. I'm okay. I have a good pace. Started pulling away, and Larry Waters, you know, he was dropping back, and then LaRocco started pushing him. So then I had to gas it up because they were both catching me a little bit. So after that, I just turned it up a little bit and made my pace a little bit faster, and that's when I started pulling the distance back out.
Well, Jeremy, if this is how you do with a cold, we hate to see you when you're healthy. Nice job.
All right, thanks.
Jeremy McGrath with a brilliant new riding style, smarts, conditioning, and a sense of humor that has kept him focused and on top.
Well, it's kept him on top in the indoors, Art, but the outdoors are approaching, and it'll be interesting to see if he can take this dominance and all this confidence and the better conditioning now to the outdoor season.